Hey there, this is Margaret Gill and welcome to the Top 10 Speaking Tips, and this is tip number 8. It's about embracing the fear. So let's talk about the fear of speaking, shall we? It is the thing that most people would rather die than do. And so any fear that you have around speaking is justified. There are many reasons why that fear is such a big thing in public speaking, because it is a dangerous space up there. And look, I've never had very many really bad things go wrong. I've really been quite blessed. But I did go out and make it my business to find out how to speak. I got away with the one where I did the International Coach Federation. I walked away from there knowing I did okay, and knowing that I broke all the rules, probably. I didn't know which rules I broke. It wasn't until, it's that old story, you don't know the rules that you're breaking until you go and find out what the rules are. And so I got away with that one. I kind of knew I'd gotten away with it. I kind of knew that was the last time I could speak in that format. And the format that I used was, I wrote every single word down and I read off the page, which is, funnily enough, what I had done when I spoke at my dad's eulogy. I delivered his eulogy, and I set that out in a way that I was able to just read it out. Because, in that instance, there's no way that you're probably going to be able to speak off the cuff the first time out. Eulogies are really hard. Something that a lot of people don't tell you about a eulogy. And it's really obvious. It's really, really obvious, but you don't think about it until you get there. You will speak beside a coffin. And the other thing you need to know is that you will speak to an audience of very long faces. They don't smile back at you. They're not involved. They're just, you talk about long faces. The whole audience is like this. And it's the most weirdest thing ever. So if you do have to deliver a eulogy, just know those two things. It's really important. And you don't get anything that bad, though, when you speak on stage. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. And the fear is all based in root chakra stuff. So it's about the tribal thing. It's about belonging. Public speaking allows you to move away from the crowd. Well, it demands that you move away from the crowd, and you bust out of the crowd, and you then turn around and face the crowd. And that is the moment where the fear kicks in, when you have to do that, because we are not programmed to do that. As humans, we are programmed for safety to stick with the group, to stay with the group. We're not programmed to be up there on a stage. And so most of public speaking, getting over the fear of public speaking, is getting away from that fear of breaking from the group. Now, you can use the adrenaline that we spoke about earlier in the program to feed that fear and allow it to push you up to another level. And by that I mean, when you go on, you need to be larger than life. Then you need to be larger than you are in life. So your stance is larger than it is in life, and your energy needs to be larger than it is in life. If you can still be quiet and gentle, and you can still be yourself. So the way that I teach is very much about you delivering your talk as you. It has to be you. If it's not you, it won't work. This whole system won't work if you don't deliver as you. But you have to be a bit more pumped up. Even for these talks that I'm doing to you, direct to camera, I don't have an audience. I'm sitting talking to myself in a room with bright lights on and a moth flying past. But I'm a bit more pumped up. I'm sitting up more than I normally would. I would normally sit like this, but I'm sitting up more, because you just need to be up. You need to be bigger than the audience, if that makes any sense. And that is part of why you get so nervous when you go on, is that it's the adrenaline's pumping you up to be able to be that little bit bigger and a little bit more sort of, not fierce is not the right word, but a little bit more in a mode where you're going to be bigger and appear bigger than you normally are. And that's really what adrenaline does. It's a fight or flight response. And so we're sort of going into fight mode. As funny as that sounds, I don't want you to think that I'm suggesting that we be aggressive or anything like that. But it is a bit, of a battle lines are drawn. You're here, and the audience, you have broken from the norm, and so that's why it's very, very fearful. But it's also fearful because there are things that can go wrong. The power can go out. All sorts of weird and wonderful things can go wrong. And truly, you just have to get over the fact that that's going to happen. And the more, of course, you worry about it, the more likelihood you will have of it happening. I've never had the power go out or anything like that, but things can happen. And all you do is you just make a joke with the crowd. It may mean if you are on a stage, you might need, if the power goes out, you might need to get closer to the audience so that they can hear you. What I would recommend is you do some voice training so you can project without a microphone. Things like that. So a lot of speakers, that's why speakers are eternal learners, because they're learning all of the things that they will need to deal with situations. And look, it's very rare for anybody in an audience to challenge you. And if they do, you just have to deal with it in that moment. And the answer is to be as polite and get them sat back down as fast as you can. It does happen. It happened to me. These are the things that you have to accept when you're stepping up. If you don't want to accept it, accept that you're going to be at the level you're at right now for the rest of time. If you want to step up to a new audience, to a new level, to a new way of being seen, you've got to get over the fear that something bad is going to happen. And look, sometimes you're not on your game, you know it's not going well, you just have to re-energize yourself, come back around and just start delivering again. And that's the joy of that point system that I've been mentioning to you, where you just break everything out in points, is that you might feel yourself starting to wane a bit on a particular point, and you can see a topic a little bit further down that you know you're really good at. Quickly move to that topic and pick it back up again, and then go back again. That's the lovely thing about having a little modular system like that, where it's not all laid out in one thing. You can mix and match. If you've got PowerPoint, it's a little bit harder, but if you're just speaking just in general at a smaller event, you can mix and match through your little points that you're making. And the thing is that in general, nothing goes wrong. I've seen so many people speak. I've been to so many events and nothing's gone wrong. What will go wrong is if you aren't prepared. Technology is your worst friend. And that's the thing that is going to go wrong. So make sure that if you are speaking at an event or something, that you're there, Johnny on the spot, first person to get hooked up. Because you might be there for hours while they faff around and get the things working. But you want to know that your stuff is working when you go on stage. I had that instance once where I wasn't sure. I left the room with the sound guy going, oh, I hope I'll be able to get it going in time for you. I had to go back and get ready and get changed to be in time to speak. I'd been there for quite some time. And I can't tell you how awful it is to sit there not knowing if your stuff is going to work. Tech is the worst part is your worst nightmare. So get there early, make an appointment with the sound guy, make an appointment with the stage manager, whoever's getting that stuff working, and make sure yours is working and make sure it stays plugged in. It's another great point for you. Once it gets working, make sure it stays plugged in. But apart from that, that's really all that can go wrong. And if it does, now hear this whenever you speak, take your PowerPoint along, but take your little sheets of paper. And even if you just print out your PowerPoint, have a sheet of paper in case the tech goes wrong so that you have got something to refer back to. So can you see how being organized is really important? That's the thing that can go wrong in speaking, is if you aren't organized. You must be organized, and you must have backups to your backups. Always take a backup disk or something like that. So if your computer fails, you can plug into somebody else's. Stuff like that, really, really important. If you are using Mac, Make sure you save your PowerPoint as a PowerPoint as well. So take your Mac file along, your Keynote file, and a PowerPoint file as well. So if something goes wrong, it can be downloaded and easily plugged into somebody's PC. If you've just got Keynote, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to find somebody with a Mac, and not everybody has a Mac. All of those things, just keep lots of bases covered. So in Courageous Speaking, I give you a list of the sorts of anal things that I do, which have served me well. Trust me, over time, my anal list has served me very, very well. So it's really about just understanding there is going to be fear and knowing that you can cut through it. And the way to cut through it is to do your first talk in a safe environment like the one that I create for you. That was my whole vision with Soar to Soar, which has now become Courageous Speaking, was to give you a safe environment like Brendan Nichols gave me, where the guy that shook me on the shoulders. Now, I can't give you a big room like that to teach the way I teach. It's my vision in the future to be able to do that, to be able to get you in front of a bigger room. And I know how to do that now, having been to World's Greatest Speaker Training. It will be similar to the way they do it. I'll just tell you how they do that, shall I? You pay an additional $1,700 on top of the, I think, $1,500 fee, and you have 3 minutes to speak to the room. And after your 3 minutes, all of the people that are presenting on the stage critique you. You're up in front of 800 people, and you pay $1,700 for those 3 minutes. And truly, I loved World's Greatest Speaker Training, but the critiquing was the thing I loved the most. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome to watch people present, and then see the presenters not pick things that were wrong, but give them points that would enhance what they did. Powerful as all get out. So I'm looking at ways that I could perhaps do that in the future. But get yourself in a position where you speak the first time in safety. That's what's key. Don't be like me and go off the deep end. Speak the first time in safety. And when I see people leaving the room after Soar to Soar, they are on a high. They are on such a high. And it's because they've done it. In the space of 2 days, they've gone from not being able to speak to anybody to being able to speak without notes and tell the story they don't want to tell anybody, and move a room so much that suddenly they understand what it's like to be heard for the very first time, and they get healing over that story that's been with them for years. And I would really, really encourage you to come along to Courageous Speaking. Bite the bullet, come along and do your first presentation in a safe room. It is so important. And once you've done that, you'll fly, because you've done the worst thing that's possible. You've told your story for the first time. The next time it's easier, and it gets easier and easier and easier each time you do it. So lovelies, embrace the fear. Like they used to say, the old personal development catch cry, feel the fear and do it anyway. Because truly the reward that you get is amazing when you can speak. Even if you never speak to an audience again, it opens up the opportunity to do what I've done here today. I have recorded this whole series in 1 day. And that's because I've learned to speak without notes. And I've learned to speak with passion, and I speak on topics that can you guess that I'm a little bit passionate about speaking and getting people to speak? Hell yeah. Because I've seen now what happens when people break through their story. Amazing things happen. It just opens up your creativity. You do things because the fear's gone. Nobody's ever going to be able to corner you and say, I know something about you that you know how you get that fear when you've got something sitting back there? That's gone, because you can say, actually, there's 6 people in the world that already know that, so, I'm not worried about that. And that's what's important. So feel the fear and do it anyway, but talk in a safe place the first time, and you'll be magic from there on in. Thank you for listening. This is the Top 10 Speaking Tips. I'm Margaret Gill, and thank you for listening. Bye now.